Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the powerful, yet kind of hidden, engines that really run our world. I'm talking about everything from the water in your pipes to the power in your outlets. These machines are working 24/7, and we're about to find out exactly how they pull it off. I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? How does water actually get to your kitchen tap? How does natural gas find its way to your stove? And how is the electricity that's powering your screen right now being made? Well, the answer, in so many of these cases, comes down to one special family of industrial machines. Okay, let's get into it. The industry term is rotating equipment, which basically just means machines that spin to do a job. And that job is to move and add energy to fluids. Now, when an engineer says fluids, they don't just mean liquids like water. They're also talking about gases, like the air we're all breathing. And these machines, they're not just moving stuff around. They're actually solving a really fundamental challenge, one that's baked right into the laws of physics. You've probably heard the saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Well, that's pretty much the first law of thermodynamics. You can't get something for nothing. If you want to move a fluid from point A to point B, or if you want to increase its pressure, you have to put energy in. That is the core job of machines like pumps and compressors. They're the ones doing the work. So, while pumps and compressors both add energy to fluids, they're operating in two completely different physical realities. And understanding this difference, well, it's the key to pretty much everything else we're going to talk about. Here's a really simple way to picture this. Pumping a liquid is kind of like using a water gun. You squeeze the trigger, the water shoots out. It doesn't really shrink or change volume, it just moves. That's because it's incompressible. But compressing a gas, that's like pumping up a bike tire. The more air you put in, the harder you have to push. The air literally fights back. You might even feel the pump itself getting hot. And that's all because gases are compressible. So let's connect that analogy back to the physics. With a pump, because the liquid's density is basically constant, almost all the energy you put in goes directly into moving it or jacking up its pressure. But with a compressor, you're physically squeezing the gas molecules closer together, which changes their density. And that act of squeezing, it generates a tremendous amount of heat. In this, right here, this is the crucial aha moment. This chart just lays it all out. To get the exact same increase in pressure, it can take 10 times more energy to compress a gas than it does to pump a liquid. 10 times. And a huge chunk of that extra energy doesn't even go into moving the gas. It's just converted directly into waste heat. This is why compressors get so hot and need so much power to run. So, to deal with this massive energy challenge, especially when you're talking about gases, engineers have come up with a whole toolbox of different machines. Each one is designed for a very specific job. You know, you wouldn't use a sledgehammer to hang a picture frame, right? It's all about the right tool for the job. You've got your reciprocating compressor, which is kind of like a powerful piston. It's the classic workhorse for hitting really extreme pressures. Then you have the centrifugal type, which uses a spinning impeller to literally sling gas outwards at high speed. It's perfect for moving absolutely massive volumes. And then you have specialists, like the rotary screw, which is quieter and great for things like refrigeration or even for handling gases that aren't perfectly clean. So no single type is best. It's always about the specific task at hand. So remember all that waste heat we were talking about? It creates a huge engineering problem. If you try to compress a gas too much all in one go, it can get dangerously hot. We're talking over 360 degrees Fahrenheit. The solution is actually pretty clever. You do it in stages. You use one compressor to do some of the work. Then you run the gas through a cooler, called an intercooler, to strip out all that heat, and then you send it to a second compressor. And get this, it's not just safer, it actually takes less total energy to get the job done this way. Okay, so we spent all this time talking about how machines put energy into fluids. But what about getting that energy back out? Well, this is where turbines come into play. Honestly, the simplest way to think about a turbine is that it's just a compressor running in reverse. Instead of using power to pressurize a fluid, a turbine is designed to let a high-energy fluid expand through it, and that expansion extracts the energy as rotational power. And this process, wow, it's the absolute heart of every jet engine and most power plants. It's just a perfect, elegant loop. First, the compressor squeezes huge amounts of air. Then, you add fuel and ignite it, creating this super hot, high-pressure gas. That gas then blasts through the turbine, spinning it at incredible speeds. And here's the genius part. The spinning turbine provides the power to run the compressor at the front, with plenty of energy left over to do useful work, like push a plane or turn a generator. But remember that no free lunch rule? Even these incredible machines aren't perfect. A typical industrial gas turbine has a thermal efficiency of just over 37%. So think about that. For every bit of fuel you burn, over 60% of its potential energy is just lost as waste heat shooting out the exhaust. It's a stark reminder of that constant engineering challenge. How do you turn more of that heat into useful work? So when you step back and look at the big picture, from the pump that brings you water to the gas turbine that generates your electricity, these machines truly are the hidden engines of our world. And at their very core, they all operate on that fundamental, simple difference between trying to move a liquid and trying to squeeze a gas. And that's really the power of rotating equipment. The next time you turn on a tap or flip a light switch, maybe you'll know a little bit more about the hidden engineering that's making it all possible. It really makes you wonder, what other marvels are quietly working all around us? Thanks for digging into all this with me.